As NBC News has now learned, the Trump administration is preparing a list of places where it might deport migrants if their home countries will not accept them back. That's all according to three sources familiar with those plans. The specific details, though, they're still unclear, but Trump has repeatedly promised to carry out what he calls the largest deportation operation in American history once he takes office. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now with more on her exclusive reporting. Julia, first, just reporter to reporter, my hat is completely off to you for all the late-breaking details you've managed to get about this new plan, which a lot of us are unclear about how it would actually work. So which countries are on the list?
Yeah, Morgan. Well, as a reporter, sometimes we find these details and we don't exactly know the how. We just know what they're talking about. And in this case, they're talking about sending migrants who were arrested in the United States back to the countries of Turks and Caicos, Panama, Grenada, and the Bahamas, even though these migrants are not from there. This is their workaround when there are lots of migrants in this country from countries that won't take them back. Places like Venezuela, places like Cuba. China takes back very few of their migrants. So this would mean taking those nationals who are in the United States and putting them on planes to those countries. It's unclear if they would be able to work there, if they'd be able to stay there permanently in a legal way. But we understand that that is the list the Trump administration is working on right now. They're trying to grow that list, and they're talking to these countries now to see if they can get to an agreement to be able to take back these people simply because the Trump administration wants to be able to deport someone within 1 week of arresting them. This is their way to be able to carry out these plans for mass deportations and keep the numbers high without having a massive backlog within ICE detention here in the United States.
You know, within 1 week of arresting them, I mean, that's pretty quick. But what's interesting, Julia, is it feels like past this prologue here because we've seen an element of this before. I mean, Mr. Trump had a similar policy to this during his first term. Back in 2019, his administration sent migrants to Guatemala and they didn't even know where they were going. So how did that play out?
Yeah, that's right. We didn't get to see exactly what the full force of that policy could look like because COVID-19 happened and they started blocking migrants from crossing the border at all. But in the end of 2019, we saw the first flight. There was a Honduran man who was sent back to Guatemala. We were told by him and others who made that same journey, they didn't even know where they were going. They got on a flight thinking, okay, we might be going somewhere else in the United States. Perhaps we're being deported back to our home country. Instead, they were taken to Guatemala because Guatemala had an agreement with the United States to start taking back migrants who weren't from those countries. This is something Trump has done in the past. He can put pressure on these countries, either diplomatically, through tariffs. We know a lot of the countries on the list depend a lot on U.S. tourism right now. And so this is their way to try to really fully flex that policy, even though they were sued for it in the last administration.
All right. Julia Ainsley from our D.C. bureau there. Excellent reporting, Julia. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.